Waggler fishing can be a great way to put bites together on commercial fisheries when no other method can get you a bite. You join me at the gorgeous Bowen Mill Fisheries in Tamworth, where I'm going to take you through how I approach my waggler fishing. The first thing you need to think about is why and where you're going to fish a waggler. Today at Bowen Hill, the water's pretty clear, and that's how I dictate when I'm going to fish a waggler. Fish can spook with poles over their heads, and even though the fish will be in your peg, there's a good chance you won't catch them. Most people associate the waggler with loose feeding. However, I like to do things slightly different. Commercial fisheries are stuffed with fish that love ground bait, so I like to put some ground bait in at the start, and the ground bait I use this time of year is F1 core water mixed with dynamite silverfish. They're both dark mixes, and I find this sits on the bottom nice and fish will come over it and feel safe. The thing that puts most people off feeding ground bait on a waggler line though is they don't like to catapult it, because accuracy can be quite hard. When you're firing them balls of ground bait out, it needs to be in the right spot, and a lot of people can't do it. However, what you can do is use a feeder rod to feed your waggler, and this is what I've done today. The good thing about doing this is you know exactly what's going in your peg. You can pick 2 maggots up if you want, 2 casters, a bit of micros, put it through a feeder, and you know that's exactly going where you want it to. The first thing you need to do when you've selected the waggler is plumb it up. The way I do this is I just get an AA shot and I place this onto where my hook will be. I then set my waggler at the depth that I think the water is, and then I cast it into the peg. If the float pops up and the bristle is visible, you know it's over depth. So all I do is just take a couple of inches off and then recast it. If the float stays under the water, you know you're under depth. So you just have to play around, keep casting until that bristle just pops up out the water and you know you're pretty much dead depth. All I do then is put it 1 inch over depth, and that's a good starting point. So my setup for waggler fishing is a Daiwa Tournament 13-foot waggler rod. This is paired up with a 3000 size reel, and that's a Daiwa TDX. The main line is 016 Suffix Duraflex. The reason I pick this is the breaking strain is quite high for the diameter of line. You want to select a thin diameter of line to allow you to cast that waggler out nice and easy. Moving down, I just put my waggler in place with 3 number 8 shots, and on the waggler is just a Drennan waggler adapter. All I've done to this float though is wrapped a small bit of soldering wire around the base of the float, just so I haven't got to put lots of shots down my line. The waggler I've used today is a 4-gram Drennan crystal. These are absolutely lovely floats. They fly through the water and they sit nice every time. Moving down the rig, we've just got a strung out bulk of number 10s. So these are going to fall slowly through the water down to a diamond eye swivel. Connected to the diamond eye swivel, I've got 30 centimetres of 011 power line. 011 power line is going to give me the chance of getting them carp out, big skimmers, and it's also going to allow me to get bites because it's not too thick. Just below that, we've got a 16 SFLB hook. This is a fine wire hook and it's got a wide gape, so it allows me to fish them baits like worms, casters and maggots. So once I've plumbed up where I want to fish in the peg, all I'm going to do is clip up 5 turns past there. So I'm going to clip up and then wind back 5 turns. I'm going to get my feeder rod, and with either a feeder or a bomb, I'm going to cast it out next to the float so it hits the water right where the float is. I'm then going to clip up, and that I know I can cast my feeder rod out, and I'm going to be feeding my waggler peg at exactly where my waggler is going to be. To kick the peg off today, I've just used a large Guru bait up feeder, and I've just put some micros, some casters and a few maggots through the feeder. I've introduced this into the peg and I've struck the bait out of the feeder before it gets to the bottom. What this is going to do is just release all the bait and give me a nice spread out pile on the bottom. Once I've fed my peg, all I've done then is selected 2 live red maggots, because everything eats live red maggots and it's a good way to start the peg off. All I've done is cast that into the peg, hit the clip, put the tip under the water and wound back 5 turns. I know then my waggler is sat right over where that ground bait is, and then loose offerings, and I've just waited for a bite. Didn't take long before we was getting bites. Was into small hybrids and small skimmers. And as the days got on, the fish have got bigger. When bites have slowed down today, something that's worked really well is called a twitch. And all I do is just put my tip under the water and give it half a turn. All this does is just brings the float back slightly and just raises that hook bait off the bottom. If there's any fish just waiting there, it causes them to grab the hook bait. And this can be a fantastic way to get bites when the peg's slowing down. When the peg has slowed down, I've just topped up with a couple of feederfuls of ground bait, micros and casters. Not too much micros and casters though, because you don't want to fill the fish up. Later on in the session, I've swapped to a wormhead, and this has brought a couple of nice bream to end the session on. Next time you're out, give the Waggler a try. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.